Ta-da!
Ta-da!
There we go.
He clicked the button and here we are.
Click the button. So I'm waiting for it to go live on YouTube so I can mute that side of it.
Oh, goodness.
Started streaming less than a minute ago. Okay. Shut up video. There we go. All right, I've got it muted and I'm going to click pause. Cool. So now I've got live chat up on the YouTube side. So we'll see how much that differs than the StreamYard side. I thought about seeing if I could put like a picture or something behind these screens, but I'm not sure if I can. I'm not sure if it's a paid feature or something like that. I'm guessing the do you have the YouTube side up?
No, I turned it off because if I'm gonna do a photo thing,
Okay.
that just takes a lot of resources out of my computer.
Yeah, we need to build you a new computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have half the money available right now.
Well, when she starts sending them my way, I'll start getting parts. Start making some magic for you.
I want one NASA's going to be proud of.
Wow. I mean, there's this amount here that I'm proud of, if that accounts for anything. I'm proud that I actually got it to work.
Yeah, you're making a lot of confidence in building mine saying comments like that.
Well, I'm just saying I've learned a lot of things because when you buy a no-name motherboard from China that doesn't come with specifications, you kind of have to guess on a few things.
Yeah.
And the fact that I can make it work with guessing on a few things, I'm just saying it's a win.
Yeah. Well, with all your knowledge doing computer stuff, I don't have any issues of you not building one that doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, because I will continue working on it until I get it to work because that's how I roll. That reminds me, I need to take that apart. Take that off, and that goes to my old thing. So this is how we're gonna do it.
Are we live?
Yeah, we are.
Okay, behave.
You watch me push the button. I'm just saying.
No, I heard you. I heard you push the button.
Okay. All right. So as we wait for people to get in here, we will go ahead and get started. For all of those who are tuning in later, this live stream is about U.S. mints. The U.S. The United States government has actually had a total of 9 mints that they have utilized to strike everything from bullion to gold to silver to circulating coinage to proofs to metals. It's kind of all of the everything in between. So those mints were Charlotte, Dahlonega, New Orleans, Philadelphia, Denver, Carson City, San Francisco, West Point, and Manila. So those are the nine mints that the U.S. government has used to strike coinage and such. So what Blues and I are working on tonight is that we will be going through each of the mints and their histories as far as what they have done. There's a lot of history in these buildings that the U.S. Mint has um, over the years for what they've done. I think it's really cool and a really interesting part of our history um, for these mints and what they've done over the years. So we just wanted to go through in detail some of them. So we'll be going back and forth. I'm going to start off with the Philadelphia Mint. So I'm going to try to put some pictures up here. So if it gets kind of jumbled around, I apologize. We will work through all the technical difficulties. So the Philadelphia Mint, it was actually coined as Ye Old Mint, and that's old with an E. It was opened in 1792 and is the U.S.'s oldest mint and largest facility. Until 1980, coins were minted at Philadelphia did not have any mint mark, with the exception of the Susan B. Anthony dollar and wartime silver nickels. After 1980, the P mint mark was added to all U.S. coinage except the cent. Exception is 2017. I think I have that backwards. Was not added to the coinage. I'm sorry. In 2017, the P mint mark was used on the cent. Until 1968, the Philly Mint was responsible for nearly all official proof coinage. Philly is also the site of the master die production for U.S. coinage, and the engraving and design departments of the U.S. Mint are also located here. Most of the mint facilities later on, they will be producing their own striking dies. But the master die production is still done at Philadelphia. So the first building, I'm going to try to get, give me 1 second here to get a yield picture of the Philadelphia Mint first building. Share screen, window. All right, so this is the first building. So this first building, which was operated from 1792 to 1833, and this first building was located at 7th Street and 631st Filbert Street in Philadelphia, and was purchased by David Rittenhouse on July 17, 1792, at a total cost of $4,226.67. That's a lot of money for back in the day. The first building that was constructed was only 37 feet wide by 33 feet deep. So you can imagine how wide this building is really not very big. With the vaults for gold and silver held in the basement vaults. The first floor housed deposit and weighing rooms along with the press room. Mint officials were on the second floor of with the assay office being on the third floor. Between the smelt house and the building located on 7th Street, a mill house was built with horses in the basement turning a rolling mill located on the first floor. So in January 1816, the smelt and mill houses were destroyed by a fire. The smelt house was never repaired, and the mill house was completely rebuilt, replaced by a large brick building. This new building held a steam engine in the basement that powered the machinery. Operations moved to the second building in 1833, and the property was sold to Frank Stewart, who had asked the city to either preserve or relocate the historic buildings, which they declined. And so the first Mint building was completely demolished between 1907 and 1911. So then we get to Philly's second building. So the Philly Mint has gone through a number of changes over the year, and a number of buildings. Sorry. a number of locations. That's what I was trying to think of. So the second building, this second building was used from 1833 to 1901, and it was located at the intersection of Chestnut and Juniper Streets, with a cornerstone being laid on July 4th, 1829. This second mint was designed by William Strickland and was in a Grecian temple design constructed of white marble and classic Greek style columns on the front and the back of the building. It measured 150 feet wide and 200 feet deep. The coinage production was really hampered in this new building because they were still using the outdated machinery that was in use that was salvaged from the first mint building. Franklin Peel, who was an employee and an officer of the mint, was sent to Europe to study for 2 years to study the advanced coin making technology that existed in Europe at the time, which was brought back and implemented, both increasing production and quality. The second building was sold in 1902 after the third building was built. The cornerstone that was originally laid for the second building was unearthed and contained a candy jar with a cork stopper that had petrified. And inside the jar, there were 3 coins, a few newspapers, and a scroll with information on the first mint and the creation of the second mint. So a lot of information on the Philadelphia Mint so far. Then we go into our third building. So the Philadelphia Mint has had a total of 4 buildings. So we are going to do the third building now. Nope. Third building. Double click. There we go. Third building. There we go. All right. So this happens to be the third building. So this third building was used from 1901 to 1969. And this one was built at 1700 Spring Garden Street and opened in 1901. It was designed by William Martin Atkin, architect for the Treasury. It was positioned 1 block from the United States Smelting Company that was at Broad and Spring Garden Streets. In 1 year, the mint produced 501 million coins as well as 90 million coins for foreign countries. This third building still stands today with much of the interior intact after it was acquired by the Community College of Philadelphia in 1971. So that's the third building, and now we get to the fourth. And the fourth building is the present day version of the Philadelphia Mint, and this is what it looks like. And so the fourth building, which was operations from 1969 to present, it was 2 blocks from the site of the first mint and the newest mint constructed. This building was designed by Philadelphia architect Vincent Kling and also had the Tiffany glass mosaics that they recovered from the third mint placed in this building. So from here, we're going to go over to Blues, and he's going to cover one of the other mint branches.
All right. Hello, everybody. So you did have pretty good information on the Philadelphia Mint. The history of all these mints is just amazing, and it was a lot of fun doing a lot of research and reading up on this stuff. But with that said, I'm going to talk about the Charlotte Mint, and let me see. I think there's get a picture here if I can. Present, share screen. I'm learning how to click buttons. Did that work?
Yep, gotcha.
All right. The Charlotte Mint, following the first documented discovery of gold in the United States, the county's first gold mine was established in North Carolina at the Reed Gold Mine. As no mints exist in the Charlotte area, miners had to send their gold dust to Philadelphia to be minted for melted and coinage. The transportation process was difficult, slow, expensive, and dangerous. Frustration within the system led to the creation of a private gold coining operations in the Charlotte area. However, making gold coins into local money had its own inherent problems, such as accuracy with weights and determining uh, fineness. In the spring of 1831, North Carolina merchants and miners petitioned Congress for a branch mint in Charlotte to reduce the risk of the transporting gold. They received no response until 3 years later when the United States Treasury began to investigate private coining operation and recognized North Carolina's need for more federal coinage. On March 3rd, 1835, United States Congress approved an Act 115 to 60 to establish several um, branch mints. The act stated one branch to be established in the town of Charlotte in North Carolina for the coinage of gold only and for the purpose of purchasing sites, uh, electing erecting suitable buildings, and completing the necessary combinations of machinery. For the branch at Charlotte, $50,000 was allocated. The act also authorized mints at Dahlonega, Georgia, and in New Orleans, in Louisiana, after President Andrew Jackson signed it into law. November 1935, Levi Woodbury, Secretary of the Treasury, was notified by Samuel McComb that he had purchased a plot of land, a full square that contained 4 acres of land for $1,500, which is now at the 400 block of West Trade Street. Proposal for the erection of the building was advertised and a contract was awarded to Perry and Legan of Raleigh, North Carolina, October 1835, at a price of $29,800. In 1836, construction of the Charlotte Mint began and opened for business in July of 1837. So they were able to get this building up within a year. So that was pretty impressive back in the day. Um, Only raw gold was processed and refined until March of 1838, when the first $5 half eagle was struck at Charlotte. Later that year, a $2.50 quarter eagle were minted, and in 1849, production started on a small gold dollar. The gold coinage coming from this mint had a C mint mark to distinguish it from the other sister mints then in operation. The Charlotte Mint issued over $5 million in gold coins over the course of 9 years, 1849 to 55, 1857, and 1859. Coinage production in 1850, 52, 55, and 59 are considered rare or very rare. The war efforts in 1861, North Carolina succeeded to the Union. A confederacy seized the Charlotte Mint along with those at New Orleans and the Dahlonega. The Confederate government continued coinage operation until October, when it became clear it was a futile effort. The mint The mint then converted into a hospital and military office space for the remainder of the Civil War. After the war, federal troops used the office for the first few years of Reconstruction. In 1867, the U.S. government downgraded it to Assay's office due to the shortage of gold dust. Following in 1873, the General Assembly of North Carolina petitioned Congress to reopen the mint at Charlotte, but this request was denied. The Assay's office operated until 1913, and from 1917 to 1919, the Charlotte Women's Club meeting at the building. The Charlotte Women's Club met at the building and also served as a Red Cross station during World War I. 1931, the building was demolished to make room for a post office and an expansion next door. Private citizens required the structure from the U.S. Treasury Department in 1933, relocated the structure a few miles east to downtown Charlotte to a historical neighborhood on an Eastover to a historical neighborhood of Eastover on a plot of land that was donated by E.C. Griffin. In 1936, it was dedicated as a mint museum and the first art museum of North Carolina. On display are thousands of items along with a complete collection of all gold coins minted at the Charlotte Mint. A museum also includes a reference library with over 15,000 volumes of the theater featuring lectures and performances. Charlotte Mint gold coinage range from scarce to extremely rare, and some of the most desirable items in numismatics today. So the mint was not open for very long, and it did have a history with the Confederacy War on it changing hands, and then being used as a Red Cross station in World War One. The citizens of Charlotte did come back, and they took the building, they relocated it, and made it into a historical monument for the town of Charlotte. So it is just amazing that people back in the day saw the significance of this building and decided we need to step up and do something to preserve this history.
Sounds like that there was a lot going on with that building, like just overall in a short amount of time.
Yeah, there was businesses in and out of it. The most notable ones were talked about. I did not see anything on that some small merchant moved into the building for 6 months and ran or anything like that. So I'm assuming that all the history on it is what it said. So I liked it.
Cool.
Charlotte Mint was pretty good.
All right.
And now we're going to jump it back over to CJ, and he is going to give a history on the Denver.
Yep. Thank you, Blues. All right. So the Denver Mint. The predecessors of the Denver Mint were Clark, Gruber, and Company, who founded a brokerage firm in Leavenworth, Kansas, and established an office in Denver at the beginning of the Colorado Gold Rush. To save on shipping and sending gold back east, the firm opened a private mint. On July 25th, 1860, the mint opened a 2-story brick building on the corner of Market and 16th Streets. This building was minting $10 gold pieces at a rate of $15 to $20 coins a minute. These $10 gold coins had a peak on the obverse with a forest at the base and the words Pikes Peak Gold. On the reverse, the American Eagle with Clark Gruber and Company. Around it with the date 1860 at the bottom. A $20 gold coin was added along with a $5 and a $2.50, with production reaching $18,000 per week. So it was a very happening place in terms of gold coinage production. In almost 3 years of operation, they minted $594,305 worth of gold. The company also purchased 77,000 ounces of raw gold and shipped a large amount of dust to the Philadelphia Mint. The building, assaying, and minting equipment was formally acquired by the U.S. Treasury in April of 1863. After the Act of Congress in 1862, on April 21st, the U.S. Mint at Denver opened for business as a U.S. assay office. No coins were produced as initially intended, with one reason being the hostility of the Indian tribes along the routes, doubtless instigated by rebel emissaries. This was during the Civil War, and bad white men. Gold and nuggets were brought to the office by the miners from the surrounding area for melting, assaying, and stamping of cast gold bars. The bars were then returned to the depositors after being stamped with weight and fineness. By 1859, the yearly value of the gold and silver deposited at the assay office was over $5.6 million. In 1872, a group of businessmen led by Judge Hiram Bond set up a firm, Denver Smelting and Refining Works, which built an independent complementary plant which processed ore into ingots that were then assayed, weighed, and stamped at the new Denver Mint. The site for a new mint building to establish gold and silver coin production was at West Colfax and Delaware Streets, and was purchased on April 22nd, 1896 for approximately $60,000. It's a lot of money for back then. Setting up and equipping the plant was really insufficient and delayed the transfer of assay operations from the other mint facilities until September 1st, 1904, with coinage operations finally beginning on February 1st, 1906. Before the new machinery to be used at the mint was installed, it was sent to the St. Louis Exposition in 1904 for display. Silver coins were struck at the mint for the first time in 1906. During the first year of operations, 167 million coins were produced that also included the $20 gold coin, which is called a double eagle, a $10 gold, which was called an eagle, and a $5 gold, which is called a half eagle, and assorted denominations of silver coins. So I have a picture of the Denver Mint. I lied. I do not have a picture of the Denver Mint. I'm sorry. So that's kind of an interesting history about the Denver Mint, about how it started as basically a private company before it was taken over or purchased by the U.S. government, and kind of like the reason why that it was created along with the Charlotte Mint is that it needed to be there because of gold rush, because there was gold being found in the surrounding areas, and that it was much easier to have a local location to take the gold dust and gold nuggets, to have it melted down and made into coins at bar form for easier transportation. So now we're going to kick it back over to Blues. Then he is going to go over the next mint location.
Yeah, next mint location I'm going to talk about is going to be the New Orleans Mint. And I'm going to have a couple pictures here to share. One's going to be of the mint that is the original.
Make your picture full screen.
I'm sorry, what?
Make your picture full screen. There we go.
Did that do it? Okay.
Yep.
I'm over here pushing buttons like I know what I'm doing.
You're doing good.
Yeah. New Orleans Mint operated in New Orleans, Louisiana as a branch mint of the United States Mint from 1838 to 1861 and from 1879 to 1909. During its years of operation, it produced over 701, excuse me, it produced 427 million gold and silver coins of nearly every American denomination, with a total face value of 307 million US. It was closed during most of the American Civil War and Reconstruction. After its decommission in 1909 as a mint, the building has served as various purposes, including an essayist office, United States Coast Guard storage facility, and a fallout shelter during the Cold War. Since 1981, it has served as a branch of the Louisiana State Museum, but damaged by Hurricane Katrina in 2005, after over 2 years of repairs and renovations, the museum reopened in October of 2007. Like any other mint, the New Orleans Mint was a factory to make coins. Operating as a New Orleans Mint began in March 8, 1838, with the deposit of the first Mexican gold bullion. The first coins, which were 30 dimes, were struck on May 7th. Until it was taken over by the Confederacy in 1861. The refer the The rebuilding and recommissioning of the New Orleans Mint was due partly to the fact that in 1878, the federal government in Washington, D.C. has passed the Bland-Allison Act, which mandates the purpose of coinage of a large quantity of silver yearly. The Treasury Department needed additional facilities to do so and reopened a New Orleans facility primary to coin large quantities of silver dollars, most of which were simply stored in the building instead of circulated. Um, President President Hayes appointed former Mississippi Senator and Governor Henry Foote the new superintendent of the mint. During his second period of the operation, the mint also struck dimes, quarters, half dollars, $5 eagles, $10 eagles, and in 1879 only, they produced 2,325 double eagles, which should also be noted that the New Orleans Mint was used by the federal authorities in 1907 to coin over 5.5 million silver 20 centavo pesos for the Mexican government as part of the American government program of producing foreign coins. These coins can be distinguished by the curved numerical 7 on the coin. The New Orleans Mint, whose coins can be identified by the O Mint mark found on the reverse of its coinage, earned a reputation for producing coinage in great quantities after luster is usually not as brilliant as those of other mints. The center areas tend to be flattened and not sharply struck. Thus, well-struck New Orleans coinage is a prize for the numismatic world today. Let me see. Let me get the other photo up here. Open with that. Man, I need a better system besides what I'm doing here.
Okay, here.
That's good?
Yep.
Okay. This is what the mint building looks like now, or a current picture that was found. See, where do I leave off today? By the early 20th century, the U.S. Treasury has minting operations in New Orleans, Denver, San Francisco, and the main center of Philadelphia, which more than met the demand for minting money. In 1904, the government ceased the minting of silver dollars, which accounted for the bulk of the coinage of the New Orleans branch that has been producing since 1879. In 1909, Treasury officials declined to appropriate funds for the mint's operation, effectively halting minting activities in New Orleans in 1911. New Orleans Mint facility was formally decommissioned and the machinery was transferred to the main U.S. Mint facility in Philadelphia. See, 20 years later, in 1930, Governor Hugh Long would rally against his loss when he ran for the office of the U.S. Senate against incumbent Joseph Ransdell. In a circular distributed by his campaigns to the citizens of New Orleans, Long listed the loss of the mint as his very first of many complaints against Ransdell's lengthy service record in the Senate. Long went on to win the election. Although he did not take office until his term as governor expired in 1932, at some point, however, the original New Orleans machinery was lost and presently has not been found. Also in 1932, it was commissioned as an essayist's office and then closed, and then the building was converted to a federal prison until 1943. Coast Guard took it over and used it as a storage facility where it decayed. 1965, the state of Louisiana took over and was believed to be used as a fallout shelter during the Cold War. The state agreed to save the structure, renovate, and convert the new purpose within 15 years. Goal was met between 1978 and 1980. and function as a museum of its coin production history. So there was troubles with this mint too. There were in and out of service, problems with Congress that keep it in service. Went back and forth between a couple different entities. The fallout shelter was kind of an interesting fact that I came across during the Cold War periods. And then once again, the state came up, agreed it was a significant building, took it over, renovated it, and then preserved it as a museum for the coin production history of New Orleans. So,
Nice.
some more fun facts. And then what we got? What Della the Della
Dahlonega?
Dahlonega coming up? God,
Yeah.
words are hard.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Words are hard, especially when it's from the South.
Yeah. All right, CJ. It's
All
all
right.
good.
So Dahlonega. I pronounce this a couple different ways, so if I start mispronouncing yeah, I will 100% apologize now. I have looked up the actual pronunciation and I have captured it with my ears that is pronounced Dahlonega, but I also think Dahlonega, but we'll see we'll see how it comes up. So the Dahlonega Mint. The Dahlonega Mint was the first mint to actually use the D mint mark. And so this mint was located in Lumpkin County, Georgia, and it was built during the Georgia Gold Rush days to help miners get their gold assayed and minted without having to travel all the way to Philadelphia, because that was a long trip. And why would you want to go all the way to Philadelphia when you can just go here and continue mining gold? These coins were minted here and held the D Mint mark, which we now know is a marker for the Denver Mint. So for everybody to kind of know the difference between these two facilities, there was actually 4 decades after the Dahlonega Mint closed and the opening of the Denver Mint. So there's no possibility that any of the coins that were struck earlier had come from the Denver Mint. It wasn't open then. So there is a big gap of time between these two mints. And the D Mint mark can also be confused with the Denver Mint and the Dahlonega Mint, depending on which kind of coinage that you are looking at. But the key thing to think about, to remember, is the Dahlonega Mint only dealt with gold coinage. So all coins from the Dahlonega Mint are in gold, and they are the $1, the $2.50, the $3, which was only minted for 1 year. The $5 gold and these denominations were struck from 1838 through 1861. The Mint Act of 1835, established by the U.S. Congress on March 3rd of that year, which designated the different branches, which Blues kind of hit on earlier. One branch at the city of New Orleans for the coinage of gold and silver, one branch at the town of Charlotte for the coinage of gold only, and one branch at or near Dahlonega. No, Dahlonega. There we go. Also for the coinage of gold. Ignatius Alfonso Few, who was the appointed commissioner for this mint, bought 10 acres south of Dahlonega for $1,050 in August of 1835 and hired the architect Benjamin Towns to construct the mint within 18 months. It's a short amount of time to build an entire mint. Mint machinery was installed in 1837, and they could make 50 to 60 coins per minute. So you can think about the time frame of this mint getting built. and its capability as striking 50 to 60 when some of the old or some of the other buildings could only strike 15 to 20 coins a minute. So Denver, when it was first built, could only do 15 to 20 coins. So this is a huge increase in production and the way and the number of coins that could be minted at a time. So when the Civil War broke out in 1861, the Dahlonega Mint was seized by the Confederates. It is believed that after the Confederates took over the mint in 1861, that some gold dollars and half eagles were minted under the authority of the Confederate States government. It is unknown how many 1861D gold dollars were produced, but it is believed that approximately 1,600 1861D half eagles were struck during this time on the equipment. After the war, the U.S. government decided against reopening the mint, and the building was unused until the founding of the North Georgia College in 1873. The Mint building was used by the college as the main academic and administration building until being destroyed by a fire in December 1878. So we've covered a couple of key locations for coinage, specifically gold coinage in the U.S. That have had some significant opportunities, and that the coins that were struck from these locations have very limited quantities. So not only are they of a valuable metal, gold, but also just the quantities already make them rare. Blues, back to you.
All right. Sorry, I was just sitting here doing a little proofreading on my writing here to make sure I understand it, because it could be hard sometimes.
Facts.
Um, I am going to be talking about the Carson Mint in Carson City, Nevada, and I don't think I hit the right button.
Yep, you had it. You got it.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, Carson City, Nevada. Um, just some fun facts about Blues coins. I grew up on the California side of Nevada, about an hour and a half away from Carson City. I spent a lot of time up on it's known as the North Shore Tahoe area up there, not water, but snow skiing and hiking and camping and stuff. So I'm very familiar with this whole area. The Carson City Mint was yet another branch of the United States Mint in Carson City. Its primary, it primarily minted silver coins. However, it also minted gold coins with a total face value in dollars nearly equal to that of its silver coins. The mint minted coins in 21 different years. The Carson City Mint was created in 1863, but was not put into operation until 1870 and ran into 1885. Um, Went on a hiatus and resumed operation in 1889, after which it ran until 1893. Been a lot of dates. When it closed permanently, and it is now the Nevada State Museum in Carson City. Uh, Built at the peak of the silver boom, um, conveniently near the silver mines. Uh, 50 issues of silver coins and 57 issues of gold coins were minted here between 1870 and 1893 with the CC mint mark. The mint was established in Carson City to facilitate minting of silver coins from silver in Comstock Lode. Much of the San Francisco Mint was established to facilitate minting gold coins from the gold of the California Gold Rush. Okay. Sorry, I just had to reread that to myself again. Uh, 1895 to 1933, the building served as a U.S. assayer's office for gold and silver. The federal government sold the building to the state of Nevada in 1939. Coins struck here, especially the Morgan dollars, are generally rare and command high premiums among collectors. The building was housed. The mint was the first designated by Alfred Mullet after becoming supervising architect of the Department of the Treasury. The construction supervisor was Abraham Curry, also known as the father of Carson City, and simple Renaissance revival style stone facet had paired with round headed windows and a center portico. Okay, yeah, that little covered area, and is now home of the Nevada State Museum. Although the mint has not struck United States coinage since 1893, coin press number one, the original coin press from the mint, is still in the building and is used to strike commemorative medallions with the CC Mint mark. The most recent of these medallions commemorating, gee, wow, the medallions for the 75th anniversary of the museum. July 16, 2019, a bill was introduced proposing to strike commemorative Morgans and peace dollars on the premises of the United States Museum in 2021. If passed, the coins feature the CC Mint mark, becoming the first legal tender coins to do so in 128 years. When these coins were first talked about in 2020 and then released in 2021, this was big news within our collector community. And it was just amazing that the support that they had for these coins was just astonishing. Um, Aside from adding the new date to both the Morgan and the Peace Dollar series, it would be the first time the Peace Dollar is struck at the with the mint. It would be the first time the Peace Dollar is struck with the mint mark. The bill received support from many coin collecting and the American Numismatic Association, encouraging collectors to express their support. However, some collectors have voiced their concern about the mintage limit of 500,000 pieces. Although the 2021 Morgan commemorative dollars were struck with the CC Privy mark, they were not struck at the former Carson City Mint. Not a lot of information on the Carson City Mint that is out there. I pulled this information off the Wikipedia site, and it was slim to none for any type of like deep down history and everything. But I am going to do some more research on this just for my own purposes because I think there's a lot more out there that is just not known yet or just buried someplace.
Wasn't the commemorative one that was struck on wasn't that struck on the original number one press?
Yes. Yeah, they were I believe it was 2,000 coins they did on the number one press.
Something like that. I just remember that they had basically recommissioned the number one press for this particular event. to commemorate. And after that, it was put back away.
Yeah. I know Paula was up there for the opening of this event, and then I believe you could buy a coin that was produced during that day, and I believe they also had a raffle. They had drawings where they're giving some away. But I know Paula was up there for that. She said she had a good time up there.
Yeah.
So yeah, not like I said, there's not a lot on the Carson City Mint right now, and I'm sure there's more that just waiting to be discovered and actually put on the internet as they go through it. So, but that's my little spill right there on the Carson City Mint.
Try.
And then I think it's going back over for the Manila.
Yep, from Manila.
All right.
So I'm gonna do a little flippy flap right here. And so this is the official Manila Mint building. So Manila Mint actually had the M Mint mark, and basically this is the only mint that was actually located outside of the continental U.S. So the building that was later going to become the U.S. Mint branch was originally constructed from 1857 through 1861 under the Spanish government. It began issuing gold coinage in 1, 2, and 4 pesos in 1861. On March 5th, 1862, permission was also granted to strike silver coinage, which began in 1864 for the 10 and 20 centavos, and 1865 for the 50 centavos. Shortly after the Spanish-American War, the Philippines was held by the U.S. Unlike the other territories controlled by the U.S., it began to produce a special coinage for the country. To promote circulation, denominations were modeled on those produced by the earlier Spanish, namely a silver peso, similar to the one minted in Madrid in 1897. Denominations of 50, 20, 10 centavos, and a 1 centavo were designed based off of a Philippine sculptor, Malicio Figueroa. Oh man, I'm butchered that name. I'm sorry. Was enlisted to provide designs for the coinage. The base metal coins depicted a seated man and a standing woman on the silver coins, which is thought to be modeled after his daughter Bianca. In 1903, the San Francisco Mint began producing silver coins for the Philippines, with the Philadelphia Mint producing proofs and base metal coins. Big arrow. Thanks, Frank. I appreciate that. In 1904, all Spanish and other foreign coinage was demonetized. The territorial coinage minted for the Philippines was locked in an exchange rate of 2 pesos to $1. And they were issued in denominations of half, 1, 5, 10, 20, and 50 centavos, and 1 peso. The half centavo proved useless in commerce and was removed from circulation in 1904. So for that, like 1 or 2 years, that coin existed, didn't work out, was removed from circulation. The silver coinage was reduced in size and alloy composition in 1907, with the San Francisco Mint being authorized to produce the base metal coins in 1908. After 1912, the minting of the peso ended, which poised the U.S. to establish a branch mint to take over the production for the San Francisco Mint in Manila, which also happened to produce a special coinage for the inmates of the Culion leper colony there in the Philippines. The Manila Mint was opened in 1920 and was the first and only U.S. official branch mint to be located outside the continental U.S. It produced coins until 1922, and then again from 1925 to 1941 until the Japanese invaded during World War II and took it over. The mint building was destroyed during the retaking of the city at the end of World War II. And that is Manila. So I'll kick it back over to you, Blues, for your next mint location.
I am going to be going over the San Francisco Mint, and I got 3 pages here, and I dropped them, and now I don't know what order they need to be in.
Yeah.
So, please forgive me if I kind of read something twice from 2 different pages, but we're going to get through this, and it's going to be exciting. There's a lot of history on the San Francisco Mint, but to get started on this, and for one 1879 silver dollar struck at the mint, the federal government sold the structure to the city in 2003 with the new name of San Francisco Museum at the Mint. But before all this happened, we need to go back to the California Gold Rush. During this time, the first San Francisco Mint opened in 1854 to serve the gold miners. Within the first year of its operation, the San Francisco Mint turned 4 million in gold bullion into coins, and within 20 years of it exceeding its capacity of the first building. And let me go here, hit this button, hit that button. See, I'm just a button pushing fool today. Did that work?
Gotcha. Yep.
All right. This is a photo 1880 time frame that I found that was able to date back. I have some other photos that I'm going to be putting up. So the San Francisco Mint began operations in 1854 at 608 Commercial Street, just west of Montgomery Street. The building sat between the Commercial and Clay Street, and the historical area can be found today on Commercial. Since June 14, 1970, the building has been listed as the San Francisco Designated Landmark. Within the first year of its operation, the San Francisco Mint turned 4 million in gold bullion into coins. Because of the scale of its increase in operations due to the economical growth, a new building was soon required. Construction of the new location, approximately 1 mile away, began in 1869 on 5th Street and Mission Street. The Mint operations moved to that building in 1874. The old San Francisco Mint was the second building of the San Francisco branch, replacing the original building that was built in 1854. And was completed in 1874. The building had projected wings in an E shape and was built around a completely enclosed central courtyard that contained a well. These features saved it from the fire in 1906 that followed the San Francisco earthquakes, also known as the San Francisco fires of 1906. Um, People go back and forth. Is it the San Francisco earthquakes or is it the San Francisco fires? The earthquakes caused the fires. So people don't know what to really call it, but both things were together during the same time period and caused all this damage into the San Francisco area. Um, with the heat, the plated glass windows melted, and exploded sandstorms and granite blocks, uh, which it was faced. So the face of the building was sandstone and granite blocks. The building is based on a concrete and granite foundation. It was designed to prevent tunneling into its vaults. At the time of 1906, the mint held 300 million, fully a third of the United States gold reserve efforts. So, I mean, if 300 million was a third of it, I mean, just imagine of all the gold that they had in the 1906 time frame, which would be 900 million.
That's a lot of money.
That was that's a lot of money. Um, Frank Lynch, the superintendent of the mint, had efforts and his man preserved the building and the bullion that was backed by the nation's currency. The mint resumed operations soon thereafter, continuing until 1937 at this site. The new mint opened in 1937 and beginning in 1955, circulating, as in the business strike coinage from San Francisco, was suspended for 13 years. So no business strike coinage was produced for 13 years at the San Francisco Mint from 55 to 68. This facility took over most of the proof coinage production from the Philadelphia Mint. So they got rid of all the business strike and circulated coinage, and they took over the proof coinage productions, and then continued striking a supplemental circulated coin from 68 through 74. So they did go back for 6 years and actually did a circulated coinage. Since 1975, the U.S. Mint has been used mostly exclusively for proof coinage, with the exception of the Susan B. Anthony dollar from 79 to 81, a portion of the mintage of cents in the early 1980s, and a circulated strike of the American the Beautiful quarters marked with the S Mint mark and issued only for collectors since 2012. And let me see. Let me go back to a different photo here. This one, and we're um,
Brian says that San Francisco had way better proofs than Philadelphia, and I would agree with that statement.
yeah. Now this is the Mint building after the earthquake and fires.
Wow. It's one of the only buildings left on that street.
Yeah, yeah, and they attribute that sandstone and granite wall in the foundation is what basically saved the building.
And the well.
Yeah, the the in 1961, the Old Mint, as it becomes known, was designated as a National Historical Landmark in 19 and was designated as a California Historical Landmark in 1974. The Granite Lady nickname is really inaccurate, as most of the building is made with sandstone quarried from the Newcastle Islands in British Columbia. The entire external and upper stories are made of sandstone, built above a granite basement. The Granite Lady was the marketing term given in the 1970s, and it became popular. The Old Mint was open to visitors until 1993 and has exhibits interpreted by its history.
That's cool.
And let me go. We got one more photo I want to show here.
Okay.
And then no, there's got to be an easier way to do this. Because this is ridiculous. Okay, there's what it looks like currently.
So the stacks are gone.
Yeah. And they didn't have a lot of like over side imaging or anything. It was just a big frontal view of it. In 2014, the San Francisco Museum and Historical Society began raising money for a second phase to include a permanent expedition. In 2015, the city of San Francisco looked for a new tenant to renovate and program the space. The organization Activate San Francisco Events was chosen as an intern. In 2016, to celebrate the public's reopening on the first weekend of March, the Old Mint hosted a San Francisco Historical Day event, which more than 60 historical organizations participated until the new until a new tenant is found. The old U.S. Mint will continue to be used for special events, some open to the public in 2016. The California Historical Society agreed to undertake restoration of the building and its preservation as a public space. So, once again, the State Historical Society stepped up, found out that, yeah, we need to be doing more with this. They agreed to take it over. They are funding it themselves, but I'm sure there is always private donations and other government money coming into their organization. So they're maintaining it, they're using it for public events. So it is amazing. And I'm sure I missed something within my 3 pages of paperwork that got out of order here. But there was 3 mints that were made. The first one lasted less than 20 years. One after that got caught up in the earthquake and the fires of 1906, and then the new Mint location building, which was the last building that I showed you on the screen. So they had a total of 3 mints.
One less than Philadelphia.
One less than Philadelphia. There we go. Hey. Yep. I knew the San Francisco Mint was going to throw me through a loop. I just knew it. Ever since I started working on that paperwork, I knew it was going to be a problem for me.
It's okay. Still works.
And then dropping the papers and losing the order did not help that part.
Notes. More notes. Your notes need better notes.
I need to number the pages.
All right. So I'm gonna finish off this stream with West Point. West Point being the last of the 9 mints that we've covered tonight. So let me double check to see if I have a picture of West Point. I do have a picture of West Point, so I'm gonna put that up, and I'm gonna do some button clicking, as Blues calls it, and this is how it's gonna be. All right, so this is the basically a newer picture of the West Point Mint. There's obviously not a lot going on there, but it does have a pretty decent history. So the West Point Mint, the W mint mark is used for any coins and things that are struck at this facility. The West Point Mint facility was erected in 1937 near the U.S. Military Academy in West Point, New York. The West Point Mint was originally called the West Point Bullion Depository and gained the official status as a branch mint on March 31st, 1988. West Point was nicknamed the Fort Knox of Silver and produced coinage prior to gaining its official mint status. From 1974 to 1980, through 1986, West Point produced Lincoln cents bearing no mint mark, making them indistinguishable from the cents produced at Philadelphia, which, as we talked about earlier, also does not carry a mint mark for the Lincoln cents. From 1977 to 1979, it also produced Washington quarters, again without the mint mark. September of 1983 saw the first usage of the W mint mark on a $10 gold coin commemorating the 1984 Los Angeles Olympic Games. This was the first legal tender U.S. gold coin minted since 1933, which a lot of us know as basically the end of the gold coin era. In 1999, the Mint started producing the American Silver Eagle bullion coins. There was some very special coinage that was struck at the West Point facility, which first occurred in 1996 with a commemorative 50th anniversary design of the Roosevelt dime. This was inserted into the standard mint sets with 1.457 million produced, especially for collectors. So the W dime in the 1996 mint sets, that is the first time on circulation coinage that the W mint mark was actually utilized. In 2015, another W minted dime was issued along with a 2015 W dollar, which was part of a 3-coin set along with a 24 karat gold proof Kennedy half dollar, which was a commemorative set to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Kennedy half dollar design. Also in 2015, the West Point Mint struck Sacagawea dollars for the first time, which was part of a special Native American coin and currency set with only 90,000 of these sets produced. And in 2019 and 2020, there was a number of historic firsts for this mint. So in 2019 and 2020, the West Point Lincoln cents were added to the mint and proof sets in 3 different finishes: uncirculated, proof, and then reverse proof. With the difference being proof having a frosted design with mirror-like fields, and a reverse proof having a frosted fields and mirror design. Circulation quarters with the W mint mark that had mintages of just 2 million each of each of the designs, with 4 to 5 of those coming out each year. Circulation quarters with the V75 privy mark that only came out in 1 year, and a Jefferson nickel with the W mint mark. Currently, all American Eagle series proof and uncirculated bullion coins in gold, silver, platinum, and palladium are currently produced at the West Point Mint, along with all gold commemorative and a few silver commemorative coins. Bullion and proof gold eagles, some uncirculated, and all proof silver eagles are struck with the W mint mark. Since 2006, this mint has also made all American Buffalo gold bullion coins. So I'm going to close this down. All right. So that concludes our history of the United States mints. Again, we covered 9 mints in this live stream. That was Charlotte. I completely forgot how to pronounce that word. Dahlonega? No. Dahlonega. There we go. Dahlonega. Dahlonega. Okay. New Orleans, Philadelphia, Denver, Carson City, San Francisco, Manila, and West Point. So wanted to say thank you for everybody that came in and listened to this. If you guys are listening to this after the fact, we do a live stream each Monday night. I have videos that come out on Thursdays that I talk about different things. Currently, I'm going through the U.S. commemorative series, and I'm doing videos about the history of the U.S. commemorative coins, because there's a lot of history in those coins and where they come from. So I want to say thank you to everybody. Please hit the like and hit the subscribe button. Make sure the bell is hit, so you guys get alerts when I go live or have new videos posted. So thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you tuning in.